think it's fair to say that we can all struggle with time. Either we don't feel like we have enough of it, we wish we had more to get the things done that we wanted to get done, or we have too much of it and we don't know how to spend our time the best way possible. We may not have a clear vision of what it is we want to do with our time. There may be so many activities that we like and are attracted to, but how do we choose which one to do so we can kind of be trapped? We can also be interrupted to our plans. We may have a plan to get something done in a certain amount of time, and an interruption hits it and it derails us. So, I think that's pretty common struggle. And I was thinking about that from today's gospel as Jesus was approached by a leper. He had a whole sort of thrust of a mission that he was beginning at the beginning of Mark's gospel, and this leper comes to him. I think that Mark's gospel, leading up to this moment, gives us an idea of how Jesus managed his time. He was prayerful, he was purposeful, he was active, and he was present to what was going on around him. It says, prior to the leper, that rising very early before dawn, he left and went off to a deserted place where he prayed. Jesus always made time for prayer. It was a priority in his life. It prepared him for whatever he was going to encounter in that day. So we can look at our own lives, as how structured we are around prayer and the importance of that in our days. And then it says, Simon came to him and said, "Everyone is looking for you." So his prayer time was over. He was asked by someone who approached him, and he acted on a purpose. He told them, "Let us go on to the nearby villages that I may preach where you are calling me. For this purpose have I come." So Jesus is rested in his prayer, and he's grounded in his purpose. He knows his mission from the Father is to go out and share the good news of who God is and the love that he offers us and the fullness of life that he wants to offer to all of the people in his creation. After this, with this sense of purpose, he went into the synagogues preaching and driving out demons throughout the whole of Galilee. So he was active within that purpose, within that strength of that prayer that gave him. And our activities, when they're coming from that place of purpose, we can see how they inform our actions, and to go out with that confidence that what we're doing is imbued with that. And then the last part was the leper who comes to him. As he's going out into this town, a leper came to him and begged him. Jesus was, not sure probably what he was going to encounter, didn't have, everything lined up exactly the way that he would, maybe see his day going, but just this openness to what was presented to him, and then he was present to that. So this is something that I've just been reflecting on a lot lately, in particular, is, as I try to think about, my life in the next few months, the next few years, making plans for how my life is going to go, I'm reminded that Jesus took things as they came and trusted that God was bringing things before him. This is one of the books I'm reading for my spiritual direction, a Jesuit guide to almost everything. James Martin's book talked about how Jesus approached life in this way. And rather than trying to plan everything, he took things as they came. But it was grounded in this sense of prayer and purpose that he had. So I think about, just our own lives, and how it's always good to just, examine how are we spending our time? How are we, what is driving the decisions we make in our days? And are we allowing ourselves to be present to what God puts in our lives? Who's that leper that's going to come to us, ask us for help? But then also at the same time, making sure that we're putting the time in for the other responsibilities that we've been given, our studies, our other ministries, setting aside time to study well, to prepare for reflections well. Anything that God has already put into our lives, how can we structure our day to make that the best that it can be for those that we serve? And also self-care too. I want just, how are we putting time in to make sure that we are, in the best place that we can be? And I think again, those times of prayer, but then also the times of creativity. I'm grateful for this 1-credit guitar lesson class that I've been taking this semester. It's just 20 minutes a day. I get to practice a little bit of guitar and be a little bit creative and learn something new, and it's really given me a lot of life. So, and freed me up to, do all these other things that we're called to do. So, prayerful, purposeful, active, and present. That's our reminders for today.